we are.
Hello.
At our kitchen table.
Again. Welcome.
He says again because this is what, like our 20th take?
20th take to start. Yeah, something like that.
We are recording this because we thought you might want to know the voices behind all these stories you've been listening to this season.
Yeah, and, if you care at all, so I hope you do. If not...
we're having fun with this,
we're
so
just
who
going to
cares?
have fun, yeah.
So, babe, we've come to the end. What do you think?
You might have to be more specific. Think about what. There's been a lot to think about.
For the record, Jerry has put far more work into these episodes than I have had to do. I am the one behind the social media. He is the one behind all of the music production and all of the editing that goes into these episodes.
It's when we started this, it was going to be a little bit more light of an idea, and it just got heavier and heavier in a good way. Like we took it on, we loved it. We got feedback from even our sponsors on kind of our first trial episode. Shout out to Domestic Dominion and their input on us, and just some trial and error stuff that helped improve the show before we even launched. But yeah, there's been a lot of music composition, sound design. Like, there's been a lot of learning curve here, so it's turned into a little bit of an extra job, but it's been great.
If you had to say, on average, how many hours per episode you've had to put in, and I know it varies episode to episode, but just on average, or what's the most amount of hours you poured into a single episode?
Oh, the one that I actually counted, it was Jack the Giant Killer. That took me about 20 hours total from... not including recording time of you and I. It was about 20 hours worth of work from sound design, commentary writing, and having to re-record some stuff on my own end, composition, and it was massive. I think the sound design alone had over, I think, 120 different sound effects built into the whole story. It was massive. And
I don't understand the ramifications of that, but I know that I did not go to bed every night with Jerry, so...
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. But that one, after I finished that episode, I took like 2 weeks off of even doing any composition or sound design work on the show, and then had to play catch up after that. But I needed the break.
Well, I think you did a splendid job.
Well, thanks. So it was fun.
So, and that's why we need you guys to be paid subscribers.
Yeah, please make it worth our while. But yeah, we love doing it. So, and knowing the amount of work we had to put in at the front end, yeah, if we would love for you to support the show financially, so that we can continue doing these. We want to do classic folklore, classic myths, and more fairy tales. And there's so many stories out there that are now in the public domain that we can just grab the original classic version of it that is so rich, has so much good content in there. And the only way people typically hear these stories now are through like mediocre at best movie versions of them, or kind of dumbed down kiddie stories of them. And so they kind of lack the richness they originally had. So we'd love to bring them back.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we talk about us a little bit? So I like us. We're fun,
Yeah,
I think.
So who are
You're
we?
fun to me. So.
Oh, well, thanks. Gee.
But I think our marriage story is pretty cool, but Amy's way better at telling it. So let's start there. Dear, why don't you tell us how we met?
Well, so our love story, where does it even begin? I'm going to give you guys the snapshot version because we did record this, and I went on way too long, according to Jerry.
It was about a third of the time of the episode that we wanted it to be.
So here's our snapshot. We met via a dating app in Nashville, Tennessee, back in 2016.
Yes, and side note, don't do dating apps.
I mean, fruit came from it.
Yes.
But, and we are thankful. But, yes, not that is not the result everyone always gets. But all that to say, neither of us were in good places back in 2016. We had a lot of work to do, a lot of growing to do, and neither of us were walking with the Lord like we needed to be. So we dated for a couple months. It just was very unhealthy. Ended with me saying, "Never talk to me again," and which
I thought we wouldn't.
Yeah. So, anyways. Flash forward about a year later, I moved to a different state. I was living in Mississippi, and I was doing a lot of personal work on in my life, and I was reaching out to people, making amends, and I reached out to Jerry, basic, apologize for the way things went down, how I treated him. He reciprocated, And then I blocked him because I was like, all right, wash my hands of this. We're done. Great. Never have to speak to him again. Couple months later, Jerry, you reached out via my blog that I had at the time because you had been blocked on every other platform. I didn't even think to block you on my blog. I don't know if I could have. But anyways, it was like a little email saying like you wanted to try again if I was still living in Nashville and like I wasn't truly living in Mississippi because I just wanted to throw you off your tracks. Like, like, let's try again and have this date where you won't touch me, hold my hands, none of that. It was funny. It was sweet. I contemplated replying, but I did not until a year and a half later. So then in 2019, on September 26th, I heard a song that you had introduced me to. It made me think of you. So I started, you came to mind, so then I looked you up. I found some of your music on Spotify. I listened to some of the things you've written. A little plug-in. Jerry puts out some beautiful music on Spotify. He writes his own music, not just compositions like you hear in Story Cottage, but with lyrics and all of that jazz. He actually wrote the song that I walked down the aisle to. So anyways, I searched high and low for his number because I was like, you know what? I'm going to text this man. I had done a lot of work on myself and was in a much better place in my relationship with the Lord and just personally. And so I reached out anonymously. Wasn't going to tell him who I was, but then he wouldn't continue a conversation unless I revealed who I was. Makes no sense to me, but
I wanted to know who I was talking to.
Anyways, once it was revealed that it was I, in fact, who was reaching out, Jerry was like, well, I'm driving. Can I call you? And so he did. We talked for 20 minutes and kind of the rest is history. That call led to another call in which we decided to write letters as our only form of communication. And as I was finishing up some personal work on my life, as I was still living in Mississippi at the time, we decided, okay, only form of communication, no texting, no calling. So about a letter a week, back and forth. We included some gifts in the process. My face was on a potato that he got in the mail one time.
That was the weirdest one.
That was fun.
It was awesome.
His face was on socks, the fun things. And like a second or third letter, he told me he intended to marry me. So, it was a very intentional, like we knew from that 20-minute phone call, like, okay, God was doing something. And then on our second first date, our redo, which our first date was phenomenal. True. But our second first date, even better because we went ring shopping.
Yep.
And then, he proposed on his birthday, February 16th of 2020. And we got married August 1st of 2020.
Yep. In Clarksville, Tennessee. It was great.
COVID wedding.
Yeah, we didn't bother with that.
So anyways, that's kind of our story. So we've been married nearing 5.5 years.
Yeah, over 5 years. Yeah, and we had some infertility stuff we had to go through. That was a battle in early marriage, and we had all the early marriage battles that you could imagine, but maybe more than you can imagine in a lot of ways. But
I stuck it out.
Back at you, baby. Anyway, and then Esther came along, and then Maximus shortly later, and now baby number 3 is a couple months away.
Yeah.
Due in February.
Coming up fast. So our kids Esther will be 3 in January, and Maximus will be 18 months in January. So they're 18 months apart. And then we're due in February. And so Maximus will be 19 months when this baby's born. So it's exciting.
Very.
It's a total blessing that we haven't had to do more treatments to conceive the other kids.
Yeah.
And
an answered prayer there.
Completely. So that's kind of a little bit about just like our family and how we got here. And we did share in our like opening episode, like the reason behind this podcast. And Esther is our inspiration for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's certainly grown in a lot of various ways from its original conception. But, moving on to some different topics, give you some insight into kind of who we are on the day-to-day, I thought it'd be fun to talk about just briefly, we don't have to go into a ton of detail, but what our favorite podcasts are. podcasts these days, I guess, are kind of a little insight into people.
They are. That is true. Okay.
You go first here. What are some of your favorites that you listen to?
Okay, so some of my favorites, I love certain Culture Apothecary episodes. I don't listen to them all, but there have been some that have completely changed the way we have done things.
And others were like, what is this person?
So, you take what you want and leave the rest.
Yeah.
But it's that's been great. We listened to Bright Hearth.
Yeah,
that's
we both
been
listened
good.
to that one.
There is, what's it called? Happy Home Birth. I'm a home birther. So exciting. I wasn't with Esther, but with Maximus I was, and we're planning a home birth with our third. So anyways, I love to listen to home birth podcasts just to hype me up. And then I feel like there's one more I enjoy listening to. What is it?
You have like one or two others that it's kind of on and off. It's not regular that you listen to.
Okay, well, if I think of it, I'll give it a shout out. What are yours?
Well, I enjoy listening to Bright Hearth as well. Hardman Podcast, King's Hall, Haunted Cosmos. I've listened to several different podcasts over the years. I think the one that's probably the most obscure that people just don't expect that I listen to is, and it's not like the super popular one, it's very niche, it's called A Meat Smith Harvest. It's by a great butcher here in North America. Shout out to Brandon Sheard and his wife and his kids. But they teach how to harvest pigs, cows, geese, and we don't have any, but we aspire to that. And me especially, I like the idea of growing and harvesting our own animals. So that's a me thing. I
like the idea of growing animals,
right?
Not harvesting
the harvesting
them.
part. In that part comes, it'll just be like, oh, where'd Wilbur go? And it's like, oh, I don't know. He went off to hoggy heaven. So,
So sad.
Anyway, that's a little bit on me. Those are my main ones. I've listened to a couple others, some sermon series podcast. John MacArthur, R.C. Sproul, some of those guys and their sermons and teachings in podcast form. But those are the big ones. And I guess talk about favorite movies. That's, I guess, another insight. What are some of your favorite movies, probably like from growing up, and some of your recent favorites would be a good way to guess.
Okay, well, I would say one of our favorites together, which is a classic, I feel like we watch it maybe once a year or so, is Blended.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean,
it has its parts that are...
modern
a
and
little
not
inappropriate.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it's a fairly wholesome, funny rom-com that's modern, that's like newer to this age. Like some of my favorite rom-coms, if you went back to early 2000s, You've Got Mail, Sleepless in Seattle, Sleepless in Seattle's fine, but what am I thinking of? While You Were Sleeping.
That's it.
Those are some of my favorites.
Those are good. And Blended is kind of like, if you haven't seen it, it's worth the watch. Be careful with like what your kids. There's some stuff in there that is tiny bit inappropriate. I mean, it's inappropriate, but they goof it up enough to where you kind of just move along with it. But it's kind of a more modern version of Yours, Mine, and Ours. Basically, take Yours, Mine, and Ours and make it an Adam Sandler movie, and that's it. It's really good. It's funny. One of my favorites for all time have been Secondhand Lions. That's just an awesome movie for me, just about, a boy who needs some men who know what adventure and chivalry and just good character is, like what it is to be a man. Like that's one of my favorite scenes in that movie, is where they actually explicitly talk about having a conversation with young men from the older men of what is a man. And that's really, but it's such a fun movie on top of that. That and The Magnificent Seven, the original, not the remake. Magnificent Seven is awesome. And there's others, but those are probably two that are just absolutely great.
What about favorite books?
Too many.
We are obviously readers in this family.
If you couldn't tell.
So you just started your
22nd book of the year
for this year.
Yeah.
That is great. I'm not terribly far behind. Oh, now I feel the need to count them up.
Okay. I thought you were on like book number 15 or something. You've read a lot this year.
I'm reading my 16th book right now.
16th. Okay, I was right. Awesome. Yeah.
So, what has been your favorite read this year?
Okay, so I've been going through a lot of old classical literature, and I think there's been so many good ones, but I still think that because of its rereadability, the first book that I read and finished this year, which was La Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. It is like the OG full King Arthur myth / fairy tale / lore. It's kind of all that. I think it's not like a perfect read. There's a lot of messiness in the stories, but I certainly think it is a full book that I think every young man and or older boy, somewhere in that range, however you'd categorize that, should absolutely read. It's just so much adventure, so many bizarre scenarios, and just and cool stories. There's plenty of lessons to be grabbed from it, but it's just good storytelling all the way through. So it's a phenomenal read. But I've read several others that were great. The Aeneid. I've read what was the Aesop's Fables. I just finished about a week and a half ago. That's full of like tiny stories that are really great, full of life lessons. That's a set that I recommend you read because it gives a lot of insight to things like Chronicles of Narnia, where it was the book and this collection of stories that really set the tone for other stories that use talking animals. It founded that idea. What are some of your favorites that you've read so far this year?
So, novel-wise, I've started the whole Anne of Green Gables series. So I've read the first 4 so far. There's 8 in the series. The first 2 have been my favorite so far. Anne of Windy Poplars. Oh, it was hard to get through.
You really had to wrestle through that one.
But I got through it. And the way I've done it is I read a novel, then I read a nonfiction, and I switch back and forth. Yeah. So as soon as I finish the current book I'm on, I will read the 5th book in the series.
Yeah.
So Anne of Green Gables has been my favorite novel that I've read this year. The first one probably being my favorite. I grew up watching the movies, but I had never read them before. But then my favorite book, I think all together this year, has been Hannah's Children. I forget who it's by. I actually listened to the audio version of it, but I would very well potentially go back and reread it, like with a hard copy. But it's basically, it's a researcher who travels across the country interviewing large families and what prompted them to keep having so many children.
That's right.
And it was so fascinating and inspirational. So I think that is just such a great book that's out there.
Yeah. One other I forgot to mention, I did read finally, for the first time in my life, I read The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. And oh my goodness, it's a tough read. I'm so thankful I read a lot of old books before I got to that one. But it is such a rich piece of fiction. So I highly recommend you read that. And
then, book of all time that you just finished reading, I read it every year. Although I don't know if I think I finished it at the very end of last year, so I haven't read it yet this year, technically speaking. But Let Me Be a Woman by Elizabeth Elliot. I read it annually. I think it is just a phenomenal book, and it's not just for women. It's designed for that, obviously. Elizabeth is writing it to her daughter before she gets married. But Jerry read it, and I mean, you would agree. Like, it's a fantastic read for anyone.
Yeah, I think it's a great read for, I think the ideal scenario it should be read is with a mother and a much older daughter, one who is entering into the age, at least, that she could be married, but certainly before she gets married. It presents so many practical balances of how you balance the living out of your faith with applying it to assessing who you marry and how you plan on living your daily lives together. But I think it's great for husbands too to read, because it gives you some insight into how you might raise your daughters and teach them. Especially if you have maybe a wife who's not a reader, but you are. If you read that book, it's a great way for you to be able to enter some ideas about how you want to raise your daughters and get them thinking about things. There's so many good applications in that book. Yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah, so many good things out there. Man. So great.
And insight too, she wrote that in the 70s. This was when it was published. And so the timing of it is important because the country, I mean, the whole West is going through a lot of cultural turmoil in that time, especially when it came to marriage and education. And there was so much going on that this is just like, hey, this is how you should apply your faith when everyone else in the world, even churches and Christians, are telling you to move this direction. Here's a nice solid ground to stand on that is timeless and is wise and is rich. I think that's one really important thing to look at when you read that book. You should read it.
And if you're like, oh, I'm not a big reader, it is so easy to read because the chapters are like 2 pages each.
Every chapter is like, it's no more than 3 pages per chapter.
Super easy. So, highly recommend.
Yeah.
Moving on, though, what are current fun projects that you are working on, Jerry?
All right, so let's see. I've got a couple. Biggest one is I've been working on a book for, technically a long time, but realistically, I've been working on it for a rewrite of a first book I wrote, and then self-published, then unpublished, rewrote it, planned it out more. So I've got part 1 of 4 of this massive book project done. So that's, I don't want to go into too much detail. It is fiction. It's I'm trying to be... trying to be mysterious about this, but it's essentially.
How would you compare it? Like, a book out there, like. I don't want to come across as like I'm trying to say this is such a unique thing because it's not something that hasn't been done before in some way. But I think it's good in its own right where it's going. I would call it like mythological fantasy. It's not like what you think of when you think of fantasy. This isn't like Harry Potter. It's not Chronicles of Narnia. It's not Middle Earth. It's Lord of the Rings. It's not quite in all those categories. It's not doing this giant fantasy with all this technical magic-y stuff. It's just something where I'm kind of trying to take some a healthy dose of mythology, a healthy dose of fantasy, a healthy dose of just good modern, and I say modern relatively, like the last 200 years, modern fiction writing, and just kind of blend it together in a really great story arc for a couple of characters. That's pretty grandiose at the same time, but not being preachy either, because that's not the point. You just want to have a good story to tell. So I've been working on it for a while. Got a couple chapters into the second part and still going. So there's that. We've got obviously this giant podcast project going on. So there's that. And we've got some other small projects. I've got some song projects that I've got coming up. That's it. So that's what I've been working on. What about you, dear? Tell us about your projects. I feel like the biggest thing I have right now, which I haven't touched in several weeks, which I need to get back to, is I wrote a children's book. And
it's awesome.
It's cool. And when it eventually is published, we will share it with all of you. But until then, I'm keeping it on the DL. But I am personally doing digital illustrations for it for a to just self-publish, or not even self-publish. I'm designing it through Canva and gonna print, like, order 1 copy and give it to Esther for her 3rd birthday. She has seen the illustrations as I have been working on it, and she gets all excited about it and everything. So I'm working on finishing up those illustrations, which I'm getting pretty close to being done. And I have like a month to go, and then I need to order it because her birthday's in January. So there's that. Eventually, the goal is to hire an illustrator to, like, hand draw illustrations for the story. To kind of fit the vision I have. I do not have that talent, so I'm resorting to digital art, which I am decently skilled at.
She's pretty good. If you can't tell from her social media posts.
To just create the images that I'm envisioning. So that is a fun project. I can't wait to actually see it, like a hard copy of it. That'll be fun. It's
coming along really well. And I forgot one other project that I am working on is a rite of passage sort of plan for our kids, especially our sons, but both of our current kids and all our future kids. So that's been a fun plan. I read a book this year that was that went over the historical rites of passage over a lot of different Western-like civilizations and distinctly Western civilizations. And so that was a good, helpful insight into how I could go about planning rites of passage for our kids, and something definitely I recommend fathers or parents think about doing, because I think there's a lot of value in having at least one very specific rite of passage for your kids. But topic for maybe another time in more detail. All right, just let's wrap it up with what are some of your hobbies? What do you do for fun or to decompress? Or just like doing with the kids.
Well, thanks to Culture Apothecary, we got a mill not too long ago. How many months have we had it?
6, 7
We probably
months?
got it back in like April, I think, or
Yeah.
so. That sounds about right. So, just learning how I do sourdough. I've done sourdough for years. But so just relearning kind of like what it looks like to do sourdough with fresh milk, because it's a whole nother,
It's a different
it's a
animal.
learning curve for sure to do it with fresh milled flour. And so that's been fun, just kind of figuring that out, experimenting. I love to come up with new recipes and to just bake and cook, and that's probably one of my favorite things to do.
She's very good at it.
And aside from that, I just, the day-to-day in and out with kids.
Yeah.
They love to be outside, so we're outside a decent amount. It's hard sometimes to find the balance between getting them outside and then also taking care of the home and trying to find that balance.
Yeah. You have grown in like fitness as your hobby too, the last year especially, but
2 years.
2 years, yeah.
That's true. I used to hate working out, and now I love it. And I never thought ever I would be able to say that. But here I am saying it.
Yep.
So
What are you at? 4 or 5 days a week?
5 days a week.
It's amazing.
I was able to work out up until I was 40 weeks pregnant with Maximus. And here we are, third trimester, still going strong. So the Lord has blessed me with the stamina to be able to do that through these pregnancies.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for that, because
Yeah.
I know not everyone has pregnancies where they can sustain that.
Yeah, no, but pretty impressive. My hobbies, the projects I'm working on are kind of my hobbies. Reading obviously is a big hobby. I've been trying to teach myself more, like, I can't really do it now with the kids and the current home and land situation we have, but I was practicing like archery, like traditional bow archery, but for hunting. So now it's just rifle hunting. I've been practicing a little bit where I can, which isn't much, unfortunately. But I like smoking my pipe. That is a go-to. Smoking a pipe outside while reading a good book, that is heaven to me. I love it.
And as long as he waits a couple hours, when he comes inside, he smells great.
Just needs a little fade time, and then she
Yes.
loves it. And obviously, music, playing piano in general, singing songs. It's something that I believe is a duty of mine, but it's just so much fun leading family worship and singing. I've loved music since I was young. Didn't always practice it like I should have, but grown in that regard largely. But love playing music for our family and singing together. That's always fun. Mm-hmm. And singing in the car. It's, singing some good old tunes in the car is always great. So yeah, that's kind of us in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed this half hour of us just ranting about our lives. But
and if you've stuck it out until this point, I think, Jerry, what people might be wondering is there going to be a season 2 of the Story Cottage?
Yes, there will be a season 2. I think depending on how much support we get, it will dictate how intense that is. This was a very full first season, and we knew that's what we wanted it to be. And
and 2026 comes with a lot of moving pieces for us.
Yeah, third kid,
a new baby, and just lots of other stuff with your jobs and everything going on. So yeah. We love this, and we want to keep it going as long as possible. But it is it's not just a sit down, read a story, boom, put it out there kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of work that goes into it, hours and hours. So yeah, please consider subscribing to the show. We only ask $5 a month. You get all the episodes ad free. You know, eventually we'd love to add some bonus content, maybe some short stories, who knows? But those are ideas floating in our head. But really, we would love your support for the show so that we can continue doing these stories, because this is an easy and I think beautiful and wonderful way to for you and your kids to listen to these classic stories that have kind of they're starting to be lost a little bit. They're not something you're probably going to run into unless you're very intentional about it today. Mm-hmm. So yeah, please support the show. Well, with that, anything you want to add, dear?
I don't think so. Just that it's been a lot of fun doing this, and we're just super thankful to those who have listened to these episodes and commented and shared. And we keep doing this because of you guys. So the reviews we get, the comments on our social media posts, the shares, it means the world to us.
Yeah,
and
seeing videos of like you listening to one of our new episodes Saturday morning with your kids at breakfast, like it's just beautiful. That's everything we want it to be. It's
been awesome. So we're just really thankful to you guys, and we're glad that we've been able to provide this resource to you and your families.
Yes. Well, with that, Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you guys so much for listening to this whole first season.
And toodaloo.
Toodaloo.